y'all don't really want it like that. Yeah. Here comes the, no, here comes the, oh, here comes the, y'all don't really want it like that. Yeah. Here comes the, no, here comes the, oh, here comes the.
Hey, welcome back. Sooner Sound Waves, episode 10. I'm Iceberg. Alongside me is the good fellow.
Boomer.
And St. Pablo.
Sooner.
Okay. As I mentioned, episode 10. Sooners coming off a 26-7 victory over the South Carolina Gamecocks. Good win for the Sooners. Gentlemen, what are your thoughts?
Hey, so what a game. What a game for the Sooners last Saturday. I want to kind of give it out to St. Pablo. I think he mentioned this, give him his flowers. He talked about the run game. I was the guy that was talking about, get away from the run game. If we do the run game, stretch it out, do some things to where we can get outside. But he'd been on the bandwagon all season long for Blaylock in terms of state champion, national record holder, all this track speed. And we were able to see that on display last Saturday. Very effective. I think that was probably the best that our line had played all year in terms of blocking, in terms of pass blocking, run blocking. Phenomenal outing for our run game, which I'm excited to see that continue throughout the season. I think we did one thing we mentioned last Saturday as well, or last week as well. We talked about identifying one particular runner and getting away with this running by committee. I think the Sooners did a really good job of saying, hey, but like you are the leading runner for our team, take the field. And I think he was able to kind of do some things differently. I think he was able to kind of have more vision, more confident in terms of just not running over athletes, but he was able to kind of show his athleticism and been able to kind of get out of blocks and get out of tackles. And just a great job. I think Mateer, there are still some things that he just have to get more confident. I think he is still, in my mind, it's still a mental thing happening. I don't think he is fully committed to the run when he has to run. I think he is still just kind of really processing in terms of when to run and when he is running. Do he commit his body? Do he protect it? He's really looking at the longevity of that injury and not trying to, in my mind, re-injure to be set out for a long period of time. But I think he played a game of just like a manager. He didn't play hero ball. I think the coaches probably spoke to him and said, hey, I need you just to manage. We mentioned this before. If we can keep a team under 20, we have a chance to win the game. So I think he allowed the defense to do their job, which we should have had a shutout. I'm pretty upset about that. We should have had a shutout, but there are some things that took place that didn't go our way, and they were able to score. But start to finish, solid game on offense, and I will wait to talk about defense here in a bit. But overall, I give that offensive production. We did enough to win a game, and if we continue to play that way, I think we have a chance to do enough to win some big games as we move forward.
Do you want to go next, Iceberg, or?
No, you can go St. Pablo.
Okay. All right. We are back above 500 in the SEC, 6-1 now, 2-1 in the SEC. It was a great defensive masterclass clinic that the Sooners put on. I agree 100%, good fella, that very suspect touchdown should have been a shutout. There was a clear offsides and at least two holding or false start on South Carolina. And there was holding on that play. but nonetheless, they missed that again. The Sooners tackle for loss is crazy. They had 13 tackles for loss. I had read that is 5 straight games now with double digits tackles for loss. Taylor Wine was everywhere. He was absolutely dominant. He had a crucial interception on the fake pass. To me, it flipped a lot of momentum in that third quarter, and he alone had 4 tackles for loss. So absolutely impressive. Thank you. Yes, I agree. Torrey Blaylock was amazing. 101 yards rushing. I just wish that what happened at South Carolina could have happened against Texas. However, Texas defense is very good. I think, we saw that that's the only reason they walked out of Kentucky with a W is Texas defense held a crucial 4th and goal play in that game. So we know they're really good. The offense is another question, but this isn't the Texas Longhorn podcast. So the other thing that I mentioned on the defensive side of the football is that they held the Gamecocks to 3 of 15 on 3rd down. So it was amazing to me that how good Sellers is as a quarterback to be mobile. And I know in the past we've talked about this over the years with the Sooners. It's always, I don't know why, but we've just seen mobile quarterbacks like that do a lot of damage. And really they had him running for his life. And he is tough to take down. There's no doubt about that. But the Sooner defense was amazing. So just a great win on the road in the SEC. It's always a big deal to win. We've mentioned that, and really looking forward to coming back home. And so I will pause there. And
Hey, can I shout out to I didn't mention this when I was talking about the running backs. Xavier, I think he was able to produce as well. I think he was 11 for 58. 5.3 average and a touchdown. So I think, he's been kind of iffy all year. And I say that lightly because I just don't think he had the opportunities as the other ones did throughout the year. And I think he was able to go out there and produce just as well as Blaylock. So kudos to both of our running backs Saturday.
Yeah, so as you guys have mentioned, you saw a commitment to the run game. In my opinion, you saw it from the first series. I think we had 50 rushing yards just in the first series, and had a rushing touchdown that was 15 to 20 yards. I think probably. So whether it was Torrey Blaylock or his ex Xavier Robinson, you saw a commitment to the run, and so I think that's kind of a testament to show to Ole Miss that we're going to try to run the football more than we have in previous games. And so for me, that part was interesting. I didn't think Mateer looked too bad, but he, as you mentioned, Goodfellow, I think he looked more like a game manager instead of the hero ball that we tried to see him do potentially in the U-Texas game. So offensively, looked pretty well. Satania was 7 catches for 73 yards at 10 yards a pop. Was good to see, and again, I think if I had a game ball in this one, I would give it to the running backs, and then the running backs would probably give it to the O-line, because we saw some O-line good physicality and some good work, and as St. Pablo mentioned, it was just a good game, a good road win in the SEC. Any win, let alone a road win, is tough to come by. In the SEC, it seems like every place, is a tough place to play. The pooch punt by Mateer to pin the Gamecocks back in their own end zone, followed by a safety.
Perfect call.
Just phenomenal. And you see that a lot in high school, but you don't really see that in college. But Mateer just presents that all-around athletic ability, in my opinion. And as soon as he took like 2 steps back from shotgun, I was like, he's going to punt it. And he did. And that was really, really nice to see, just from the fact that they've had to practice that. I wasn't really impressed with the play calling from South Carolina, especially the fake punt. I thought that was a terrible call. And sure enough, we were in punt safe, and Taylor Wine back right in the line of sight. So that was nice too. 1 sack on the day for the Gamecocks. So again, another testament to the O-line there. Kept Mateer up as much as possible.
Hey, was it the play call, or did we just steal plays? Did we steal signals?
It's good film study. Good film study. They did talk about that. We're not to Ole Miss yet. We're not to Ole Miss yet.
I think Iceberg froze up on us.
Oh, yeah, I think he did. So I'm not.
We'll keep talking, because he froze up on us. When we're talking about was it bad play calling? Was it just really good play calling stolen from the Sooners?
No, it was bad play calling. And I think, I don't know what is up with my social media algorithms, but it seems like every week the opponent podcast clips show up on me. And so I've been seeing, and this week I've been seeing some of the Gamecocks podcasts, and they are blowing up the offensive play caller Shula and Shane Beamer for a lot of the play calls that happened last week. But yeah, 13 tackles for loss for the OU defense and 6 sacks, guys. 6 sacks is good. That's a stellar defense. And so just real good to see. Controlled the ball game the entire time.
You said 6 sacks.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we had a number of rushed, you don't know stat line for that in terms of X's and O's, but he was running for his life. Like he was visibly upset throughout the game. So
yeah, Sellers was never a factor, and that's interesting to say, because he's a pretty dynamic quarterback.
Yeah.
Yeah, the mentality is, of the Sooners to go there after that rough week is really impressive. To go into South Carolina and to win on the road, and to learn from what many people would say was, like you'd mentioned too, Iceberg, last week, that had some bad moments. Just about every phase of football. The punt return, it's still a little concerning for me. There were some pretty good, and even though they didn't have their best punt returner at South Carolina because of I guess he had dislocated a finger or whatever, and they gave up there was a couple of them that were some pretty good gains from South Carolina. And, after following the Texas dagger of the punt return and then seeing a couple of those come back, that's about the one area that I would say, in terms of being kind of critical of the Sooners, watching that. Now, again, Sandell had an amazing long kick again on the road, put us up by double digits. It was a really good field goal, but the punt return, we've got to make sure we're cleaning that up moving forward.
Yeah, I'm looking at this right here. I think Grayson had his longest punt was 50 yards. He averaged.
He had a couple shanks, though, didn't he?
He had some shanks. I'm like, man, Mateer's one punt was solid, and Grayson Miller had some punts that I was kind of like, put us in a position to where, yes, our defense is good, but man, one was like probably, it felt like it was maybe 15 yards. I was like, what was that?
Yeah.
So
Mateer
can't do that with big
40 yards. 40 yards.
Said what?
Mateer's punt was 40 yards.
Yeah, that's solid.
And dropped right there on the 1 yard line. I mean, it's like
that was awesome. That was awesome. But yeah, Tate Sandell right now, in terms of field goal kicker, is really a weapon that we've been missing for a really long time. at this juncture.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not sure what his season percentage is. Let me look. But there's been a few situations where he's really scored and improved. He's 12 of 13. 12 of 13. That's pretty good from field goal range. 4 of 5. You've got to be kidding me. 4 of 5 from 40 to 49, and from 50 plus, he's 3 for 3.
Yeah.
Along of 55. I mean, that goes unnoticed unless we're
Yeah.
reading this out. That's phenomenal.
Hey, we haven't discussed this, but if you can name a player that you're worried about, that's a returning player, or just any player, who would that be on our offensive offensive side?
From last year to this year?
Yeah.
Well, for me, it would have been the wide receiver room in general.
Hmm.
Just completely depleted from injuries last year, and then every single person transferred. I think now that the guy that's no longer part of the team, not Giovanni Gibson, but something that's like that.
Jaden
Gibson.
Yeah.
Now that he's gone, I think every single wide receiver from last year is gone. And so just a completely
outside of Burt, but he's been quiet too. Like, he's my one person. I'm not as worried, but in terms of like production, he went from our main guy, last year. You had due to injuries too, but he was really like our main guy, spotlight, and now he's pretty much. He may get it one, maybe he got 2 catches last game, 19 yards. I'm curious.
The addition of Satania, I think, has been a great addition, and the fact that we have a pretty good 1-2 that are decently equal. So that's a great question, good fellow. St. Paulo, what do you have on that answer?
Well, my only comment that I was going to make to the Burks deal is that's actually a really good sign for the Sooner offense. Last year, Burks was really your only, weapon out there. So, is this it? As if Mateer is spreading the ball around the field. There was a receiver, and I don't have it in front of me, but there was a receiver at the South Carolina game that caught a pretty decent pass. And I have not heard all year him getting on the field, and it wasn't Giovanni. It was I don't know if you guys have that up and right now, but I was a little surprised when I heard the name. Just hadn't heard a lot out of him. But in terms of concern from last year to this year, was that the question, good fella, or player that's no one really comes to mind. Now, I will say, in terms, if the running game is not just an anomalous event, and they do continue to run this, this way, obviously, I think the ceiling is super high, for the Sooners. If you can get this kind of production more consistently, man, it's going to be a really good year moving forward. And if the production is there like this, I think every game on the schedule left is winnable. I also think every game on the schedule left, is losable as well. But but man, if you can run the football like this and keep it up and just even improve, and this Xavier Robinson, Corey Blaylock duo is a fantastic duo, and so I hope it continues, because relieve a little pressure from Mateer. The guy they were talking about it. They're him not passing down the field, as much. But again, I mean, he's in recovery. I mean, he's coming back from hand surgery, probably way quicker than most of us would have anticipated. And so the fact that he had that troubling game against Texas, he tried. He's back. He's getting back quicker, more practice, more time, and just another week to kind of get back, to where he's at. His mentality is amazing. I mean, you listen to the guy talk after the South Carolina game, and he's just positive. He's week to week. He is a leader of that team, And he is just so, obviously he won there for us last year. So, I mean, with him there, the concerns are not as heavy. I think, again, surviving the SEC schedule, is kind of like you say, what's your concerns? Protecting him and keeping him healthy is kind of our season in a big nutshell, and maybe that message is being preached heavier in the locker room. The aggressiveness, the physicality, offensive line. You've got to protect the guy. We've got to get some space for him, and somebody else has got to step up. Torrey Blaylock, Xavier Robinson, the supporting role of receivers that are there. I only see Giovanni Gimson getting better. He is a big target. The only thing,
Huge.
you mentioned this at times last year with some of these receivers, that I think the more time he gets in there, he will find out where he's at on those the down markers. He's about a yard short, and hopefully his routes, and when he's watching film, that he realizes another, half a yard catching the football. That's the difference between 1st and 10 or 3rd and 1.
Yep. Final thoughts on OU South Carolina?
Overall, great game for the Sooners. If I'm thinking about, the structure of offensively what we did, it kind of set us up to where, we go into this Saturday facing a team who has not been the best on defense in terms of the run game. I think they are 99th currently, giving up 166 yards a game. So we just needed to, this excites me in terms of, them game planning for Ole Miss as well, in a sense, because they ran more than what we had. We ran it 40 times. That's never happened all season. And leading up to a team who struggles with the run game, it kind of puts us in a position to where I really feel good about this 5.5 spread. It's not my lock, but I do feel good about that number right now.
All right.
Well, my only final thoughts, I thought Mateer ran the ball pretty well, and I'm not trying to be confrontational, good fella. I didn't think he ran bad. I thought he had some pretty tough runs in there. And I also, with Mateer, he did manage the game really well. The measuring stick is going to be interesting, because Alabama goes there this week, and I am curious to see what that looks like. And I know it's a different matchup. Sooners are a different team. Alabama's a different team, but I'm curious if they go in there and they just, drop 49 and hold them to 0. I think we look at this game a little differently. If it's a battle, then you're going to look at it differently. But again, a win is a win, and it was fantastic, and it was good to get some kind of vengeance type back, because we really got it handed to us in Norman last year. So
yeah, I'll just say this: I think he had 1.8 average. Out of 8 carries, 14 yards total. So
numbers don't lie. Numbers don't lie.
Yeah, no. and I'm not trying, but I see him Mateer the first 3-4 games of the season, and the swag he had running over people, like he was running over defenders. He's not doing that now. He is not doing that right now, which is fine. Which is the mindset is protect yourself. We need you to protect yourself, Mateer.
Yeah, you can tell he's sidestepping and then kind of just getting down, falling forward.
Yeah,
which is perfectly fine in an SEC environment. So, okay. OU again beat South Carolina in Columbia, South Carolina, 26-7. Moves forward at 6-1 and 2-1, and they will host this Saturday at 11 a.m. the Ole Miss Rebels, who come in at number 8, 6-1 overall, 3-1 in the SEC, just falling last week to Georgia. Guys, Ole Miss's offense, averaging almost 500 yards per game, comes in at 8th in the FBS, with 300 of those being in the air and almost 200 being on the ground. But as Goodfellow mentioned, defensively, they're allowing 362 yards per game, almost 200 in the air and about 150 on the ground. They're allowing almost 23 points. This has all the potential to be a shootout, and maybe not the shootouts that we've experienced back. I hate to say this, but in the old Big 12 days, but maybe a game where we see a 20-30 or a 30-20 or something like that. But I do feel like our defense will be the best that Ole Miss has faced. And as the good fella mentioned, inadvertently, indirectly, Lane Kiffin has called out Brent Venables and OU's defense, saying that he thinks they steal signals. Get the hell out of here, Lane Kiffin. Goodness gracious. What are your thoughts on the game?
Hey,
Yeah, go ahead. Well, I don't, it doesn't matter. What do you want to do?
Hey, this is what I'll say, and I'm gonna say a very small piece, and I'll come back and I fill some things in. This is a race. This is a physical race to halftime. I say that if you go back and you look at what Ole Miss has done this season, they come out the gate swinging. They come out the gate, and their first half production is by far probably the best. If you look it up, it may be one of the top teams in the country in terms of point production this season. Now, if you go and look at their production after halftime, they're not as impressive. So if we're talking about, it's going to be a shootout for sure. But one thing I do know is that defense wins football games. And if we can win on the defensive side, second half, hold them to 7 to 10 points, we have a shot. And we have a shot. We had a shot to cover the spread. We have a shot to beat Ole Miss. So I'll stop there and I'll let you guys jump in, and I'll add to what you guys have.
Yeah, so it kind of feels like this game to me, whoever does win is probably going to make the college football playoff. And it's just, both 6
like
and
it.
1. Yeah, I feel like they're in the driver's seat to some level. I mean, no one here this year, which is amazing. It's a good feeling. We're not saying, hey, we're bowl eligible, but hey, we're bowl eligible. We would surpass our wins from last year with a victory in Norman Saturday. I feel like that's what this matchup is. This is a huge game in Norman, and I wish it was an evening game, but it's an 11 o'clock kickoff, and the Sooners are going to have to get crazy. Yes, sir.
Which is to our advantage. We are used to playing football at 11. Like that's all we did in the Big 12. So we do have an advantage in terms of waking up and playing football. They don't.
Well, yeah, I mean, they did do a great job last week in Columbia, so South Carolina.
That was 2 o'clock, wasn't it? It was 2 o'clock last week.
10:45 Central Time. It was 11:45 Central Time, 10:45 Eastern. I don't know what time it was there at kickoff.
Yeah, probably 11:40.
So it was early. But I mean, this is you got to win the turnover battle. It's going to be really interesting. Establish the run again. I think that'll help a tremendous amount. OU's defensive strength, number one in the nation, getting pressure. I would love to see some interceptions because is it Trinidad Chambliss, their quarterback, dual threat? He is amazing, at least on paper. He can run the ball. He protects the ball well. He has 1 interception on the season. So he's a dual threat. He'll be probably the best quarterback that we have faced thus far this season. And so, that's all I have right now too. So
So obviously, there's a lot of drama surrounding this game, which is awesome because I think if there's anything we know about Lane Kiffin, his little jaws like to flap, and if there's anything we know about Brent Venables, he's flap your jaws, I'm going to punch you in the face kind of guy, which I love. And we've talked about this over the course of the week, but in terms of stealing signals. Obviously, there's the Michigan scandal that Ohio State started. They were sending guys and people to games, which is completely different in my mind. But if you're watching film or you're watching TV and every single signal is shown on TV and you're not taking notes on your opponent, shame on you. And if you're a FBS, D1, Power 5, top 10 offense, I don't care, FBS D1 offensive coordinator or head coach, and you're not changing your signals, you need to be fired. Lord of mercy. Like, I can maybe understand defensive signals not being changed, but offensive signals, it's the life of the hurry up. If you're not changing signals, then you deserve to get your butt beat. So I think that's just garbage. Whether we're doing it or not, I don't, it's neither here nor there to me. I think he's starting drama. Last week he was talking about Kirby Smart's lack of losing calories or whatever the case may be. Lane Kiffin's going to Lane Kiffin. And this week it's about maybe the defense at OU is a fraud. So I'm really excited to see the D-line just completely chew up the offense of Ole Miss, and maybe even, like look over at the sideline with some binoculars, like sack
that'd be solid.
or just a little bit of nastiness from this OUD line that we're not cheating, we're not doing anything bad, we're just beating people. And so that's really what I'm excited about. I'm hoping Mateer stays as a game manager. I do think he's explosive enough to where we'll see a play or two here down the stretch to where he will have a moment. I would like to see the running game continue to be established, especially looking at Ole Miss's statistics and all the data and seeing that there are people that have been running on them and passing on them. So I really hope the offense has a productive day, and I hope the defense shows out like they have all year. So I'm excited. 11 o'clock kick, which means we'll have the result by 2:30, right? And hopefully it ends up in a Sooner win.
Yeah, this talk about stealing plays, like you say, it's if you're not changing your signals, like now they have it to where there's a mic in the helmet of the quarterback, and you can talk to the coach directly. So yeah, if they're still in signals watching film, shame on you. And I hope and I know they did. I know every Sooner defensive player heard the comment. They're in the locker room, they're talking about it. And if I'm them, I am playing that phrase throughout throughout the locker room, the defensive locker room, letting them hear it. They think you got a cheating. Well, let's show them. If we're cheating, we're going to show them. We're going to bust them in the mouth. So I hope they come out Saturday, fired up, blazing, ready to go, busting someone in the mouth. Sorry, kid. I'll tell you to fight, but fight on Saturday if you have to.
Well, I don't understand. I mean, it just has to be a slip of the tongue, because what competitive advantage does this provide anyone, even if it is a compliment? And it very well could have been a compliment, because it is a testament to the defense and their ability to be able to read and be where they need to be, and that's the way I thought Brent Venables played it off really well in that regard, because it is a compliment, but it is one of those comments that obviously can be seen through a lens too of a kind of a taking a shot. And it the one thing that I wouldn't want to get fired up is to take a team's most their strongest area, and then say something that could potentially use for bulletin board material. I don't understand. Hey, so I'm looking at it as it was a mistake in saying it's something that is upon the mind and concern. What's amazing, though, is he is very tight-lipped on the fact that he is likely a leading candidate
For
for the
Florida.
Florida job. Yeah. So he hadn't slipped up there. So then I'm thinking, well, maybe it is intentional. Maybe he thinks that a comment as such helps him or his team.
It's like a distraction to get them to stop talking about it. So I don't know.
Be a diversion of attention. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, he just runs his mouth. That's I think that's the distraction in terms of the opponent is, for that to be a distraction. But you're right. Lane Kiffin is also a leading candidate for the Florida job. He has yet to publicly turn it down. There have been I won't say a number of coaches. I know Freeman from Notre Dame has turned it down. But Kiffin, of course, he has yet to receive an extension. Also, which could be coming at some point this week, or it could not be. I know that's how Indiana answered. Signetti, being a leading candidate for multiple job openings right now, was opening up the checkbook and giving him more years with more money. But yeah, that's a distraction for Ole Miss this week too. Is their head coach Lane Kiffin is a leading candidate for the Florida opening.
Well, it's a very difficult position also when you went on the road to Athens, and it was a very good game, and Ole Miss is a very solid team. And I appreciate you said, Iceberg, that this will be the best defense that Ole Miss faces at OU, which it sounds really shocking to say that, given the fact they just played Georgia last week. And they have some, big old guys on that D line. And so, back to back 2 weeks on the road, that's a rough go at it. And I hope we make it a really rough go at it down in Norman. And it's a roll of the dice in some ways with the contract negotiation on a second road game in the SEC. You may want to try to get some of that wrapped up, or maybe you are making excuses for what you envision happening ahead, laying some groundwork. I don't know. But that's a tough sell. I might want to get the contract negotiations sealed up on one end or the other prior to this game Saturday.
Good point.
Yeah.
Got something chasing me in here.
Yeah, I see that. Chasing flies. Look like that assistant coach on Rookie of the Year.
I know. I don't know what is going on, man.
No. All right. So number 8, Ole Miss travels to Norman. Number 13, Oklahoma Sooners, 11 a.m. kick on ABC. And OU has moved from, I believe it opened up as a 4.5-point favorite to now a 5.5-point favorite. Excited about that game. We will see what happens and how the Sooners fare.
Let's do a score prediction on this one because this one's a tough one.
Score prediction.
Yeah. Okay. I would love to hear this score prediction because the Sooners 20 points will not win this ball game. The Sooners offense, like you mentioned, Iceberg, they have to produce, take advantage of the area that you need to. And field goals are not I do see this as a game where the Sooners are going to have to go for it on fourth down, even if they're in field goal range, because you're going to put up touchdowns. So I'm going to go with the Sooners 32-17.
Ooh.
Jeez. Can I go? I need to go next then, because wow. My number is 24-17.
Sooners.
Okay, hang on. I let me get my notes here. 32-17 is St. Paul.
You said 32 or you said 30? What did you say? St. Paul.
32-17. Sooners. Do you have the Sooners? Good.
Yeah, anything I go before big. Yeah, 24. It's the first number is always Sooners for me.
All right.
24.
17.
17. It's a good fella. I'm going to go 31-20. OU.
Okay.
Okay. I got that written down. All right. So all of us predicting an OU win. All of us predicting OU wins with the spread, but I bet none of us will choose it as a lock. So speaking of locks, let's transition from OU Ole Miss to locks of the week. I'll go first. Coming into the week, I was 5-3. I went back to Oregon because they were only a 17.5 point favorite over Rutgers. Turns out they beat them by a lot more than 17.5. So I transitioned to 6-3 with the Oregon win over Rutgers. This week, I am going to lock Tennessee as an 8.5 point favorite over Kentucky. I think last week was a very emotional week for Kentucky. They almost beat Texas, and they're going to live in that emotional almost as a moral victory and come out and lay an egg against Tennessee, and Tennessee will win by more than 9 points, 9 points or more.
Okay.
Good fellow.
I think I had Cincinnati to cover the spread over Oklahoma State.
You're a liar. You had
What did I have? What did I have?
you had TCU as a 2.5 point favorite over Baylor.
Okay, let me see what that was. Okay, I did, and they won 42-36. I think my first option was going to be that OSU game because they're going to be just terrible all year. No offense, I got some people that play for OSU. I hope they do well individually. I just don't think the team as well as a whole will do well. So I did win last week. TCU did cover the spread, 42-36. Thank you guys for keeping that record. I did not keep it, and I trust my handler to make sure I'm on target.
Your handler.
I am going back to the Big 12. So this week was tough. This week was a very, very tight. Like it was every game is like, I don't know who to pick. But I'm going back with Old Faithful. I am going back to the battle in Kansas. And I'm taking Kansas plus 2.5 over Kansas State for my lock of the week.
So Wildcats are favored?
No, KU is favored, 2.5.
And you're taking who?
KU.
Okay. KU at a -2.5 over Kansas State.
Good fellow. What is your record overall? What'd you say?
4-5.
4-5. Okay.
He is 4-5.
There's no longer a triangle. It's just a straight line with the iceberg leading first, and then the good fella. Now I dropped to 3-6. Just invert the leader's schedule here. So, but I feel good about this week, and part of it is because you are going with your old faithful Jayhawks who deliver you.
Wait. You're not going to slide out of this one. You need to tell the viewers who you picked last week because
It was
we
tough.
left that out last week. So let's leave.
Oh yeah, that is true. Thank you. Yeah, I went with Texas A&M to cover 7.5, and they were covering. And I don't even remember who they played. That's terrible.
Arkansas.
They played Arkansas. Yeah, and Arkansas ruined that for me. If Iceberg, if you had chosen Auburn, because you were messing with me earlier today.
No, that was going to be my lock, but I didn't want to be on the flip side of you.
Well, had you done that, I wasn't going to take you head to head because that would be just absolutely foolish. That'd be like a Lane Kiffin comment, me saying that your picks are weak this year. I wouldn't do that. I would have went with the Sooners as my lock, but because you didn't, thank you. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to stick with Arkansas. I think they're an underdog in this one, right?
No,
Yes.
they're 2.5 over Auburn.
I think.
I
Oh,
saw
you're
a
right.
point. Oh,
You're
they
right.
flipped.
That's why I was going to pick it. Arkansas is a 2.5-point favorite over Auburn.
I'm
Man,
gonna take Arkansas. I'll take Arkansas.
At 2.5, right?
Yeah, 2.5. Yeah, I like 2.5. But I do love the Sooners in this one too. So it's a tough one.
Yeah, but Lord have forbid, we do not need St. Pablo at 3-6 to choose the Sooners as a lock.
hey, you know why I picked my prediction for the Sooners to be the 24-17?
Why?
No one's taking into consideration how much rain we're going to have on Saturday.
True.
Oh,
Very true. Very true. Saturday
All right.
morning it will be nasty. It will
All
be
right.
nasty. It's supposed to start raining Friday. Rain
Yeah.
all day. Yeah, I didn't think about that. That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. Could be low
Yeah.
scoring.
Could
Maybe
be
a
low
game
scoring.
delay, right?
Could be. There's some high school games that are already scheduled because there's so much rain coming in. Predicted.
Yep.
I think the only game
Okay.
delay that I remember was when we went to Lawrence and the first time Kansas ever beat OU.
Yeah.
Yeah.
3 years ago. That was a bad day.
Well, it's a bad day.
Damn.
Okay. Those are the locks of the week. Gentlemen, here we go. Game number 4 in the SEC against the number 8 Ole Miss Rebels. That'll do it for episode 10, Sooner Sound Waves. We'll see you next time. Boomer.
Sooner.
Here comes the. Y'all
Texas.
don't really want it like. Yeah.